This is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Melinda Akilami.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, opposition political parties meet in Ibadan, Oyo State, resolved to work towards fielding one presidential candidate to wrest powers from the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. Former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tugga, formally declares intention to run for governor in Bauchi, outlines his key priorities for the state. Lagos State government reintroduces the monthly environmental sanitation exercise as Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Ebun Adegboruwa, kicks against what he calls forceful restriction of movement. And at least 7 people have been killed in overnight Russian strikes across Ukraine. On sports news tonight, Manchester City survived Southampton's scare to reach the English FA Cup final for the 4th year in a row. Opposition parties at a summit in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, have resolved to field a single presidential candidate in 2027 to challenge the ruling All Progressives Congress. In a 9-point communique, the coalition vowed to resist any move towards a one-party state and committed to defending a multi-party democracy. The parties passed a vote of no confidence on INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amufiton, warning that his continued stay in office could trigger a widespread crisis, and described his leadership as a threat to the conduct of free and fair elections. The group also urged the National Assembly to immediately review the Electoral Act 2026, demanding the removal of contentious sections that undermine the integrity of the electoral process.
Democracy is not defined by the success of one party. It is defined by the existence of real alternatives, by the ability of citizens to choose, and by the confidence that those choices matter. Once that disappears, what we have may still be called democracy, but it will no longer function as one. That this discussion is happening here in Ibadan is not by accident. Ibadan has always served as the political capital of the Southwest and indeed Nigeria. Let me also be clear about what this meeting is not. It is not a gang-up against one man. And it is not about individual ambition to be president. It is about the collective ambition of the Nigerian people to have a democracy that is properly defined.
In the last 3 years, this government has launched major attacks on the opposition parties, all in a bid to deny the people the right to choose. They want to foist a one-party state on Nigeria. Institutions that should safeguard our freedom and protect the will of the people are increasingly under assault. The right of citizens to freely choose their leaders is being undermined. The independence of democratic institutions is being compromised. In fact, it is becoming increasingly difficult to describe what we have today as a fully functioning democracy in both form and substance. The task before us is nothing short of a national rescue mission. It is a mission born out of necessity, compelled by the suffering of our people, and driven by the urgency of the moment. I must emphasize, therefore, that this responsibility is far more important than partisan sentiment, personal interest, or personal ambition. What is at stake is greater than every single one of us. It involves sacrifice by every member in the opposition.
Staying with politics, former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tugga, has formally declared his intention to run for governor of Bauchi State. At his official declaration in the state capital, Ambassador Tugga outlined his key priorities for the state, such as reviving the economy, improving security, enhancing education, healthcare, and much more. Our correspondent Hajara Aliu has the rest of the story.
The homecoming and formal governorship declaration of former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Maitama Tugga, attracts a large crowd of supporters and well-wishers to the Bauchi State capital. The governorship hopeful, who hails from Bauchi North Senatorial Zone, is described by supporters as an experienced and honest politician with a strong commitment to the welfare of the less privileged.
Kuma jami'an nan za ta yi wa kowa adalci, za ta yi wa kowa adalci da dar Allah. Kowa ya je yi kokari ya yi rijistan katin jam'iyya wanda bai da shi, wanda yake da shi kuma ya adana shi.
Youth groups, women, unions and other stakeholders have thrown their weight behind his candidacy.
Insha Allah Tugga shi zai dauki gwamnan jihar Bauchi. Mata ku shirya, matasa ku shirya, iyaye na ku shirya, da mu fito ba gudu ba ja da baya ba tsoro ba nukusa ba waiwaye, za mu yi Yusuf Maitama Tugga a jihar Bauchi.
The senator representing Bauchi North voiced his support, expressing optimism that the zone will produce the next governor of the state.
We believe he is capable. We believe he can do it. And on behalf of the caucus of Bauchi State APC in the National Assembly, comprising of Senator of Bauchi Central, Bauchi South, Senator Shehu Buba, myself, members of the House of Representatives, the 5 of them, they are all in support of this venture. We said, if you are the one that God decide to put as our candidate, we are going to support you 100%.
This marks Ambassador Tugga's 3rd attempt at the governorship. He has once again declared his intention to contest in the 2027 election under the platform of the APC, and he presents his key policy priorities.
It is therefore with humility, a deep sense of duty, and commitment to our shared future that I stand before you to declare my intention to serve as your next governor, inshallah. Our state stands as a crossroads. We're rich in history, culture, and human potential, yet many of our people continue to face poverty, unemployment, insecurity, and limited access to quality education and healthcare. This must change, and it will change. I'm stepping forward not for power, but for service, not for privilege, but for progress.
Ambassador Tugga is banking on his extensive experience, having held key positions at the national level, to earn the trust and support of the people as he seeks to secure his party's ticket and ultimately win the election. Hajara Aliu, Channels Television News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has recognized Mr. Shehu Gabam as the national chairman of the Social Democratic Party, SDP. The commission updated its official website to reflect this development, listing the party's leadership structure with inscription by court order, preceding the names of executive members except that of the national secretary. Mr. Shehu Gabam is listed as national chairman, while Dr. Olu Agunloye as national secretary. About 4 weeks ago, The Court of Appeal Abuja Division affirmed Mr. Gabam as the authentic national chairman of the SDP. Former Governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, and the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Mr. Bernard Doro, are lending their voices to calls for scaled-up investment in Nigeria's education system. The need to ensure that persons with disabilities are given every opportunity to succeed was emphasized by the guest speaker at the National Dialogue on Inclusivity in the nation's capital, Abuja.
It's a gathering of top government functionaries and rights activists for people living with disabilities. And the crux of the discussions is a need to scale up inclusivity in a digital era. The theme, seen, heard, and included, is carefully couched to direct the conversations towards spotlighting the untapped potential of persons with disabilities.
If we could change the understanding and use the right kind of word for that description, then we will have the right understanding that the people that we describe as people with disability are actually people with special ability.
Too often, the narrative around our youth is defined by limitation, but what we have seen tells a different story. We have seen potential, we have seen resilience, we have seen brilliance waiting for the right environment to thrive. And that is what we are committed to building. Spaces where young people are not just seen but heard, not just included but empowered.
Speaking against the backdrop of Nigeria's growing population of people with disabilities, which is estimated at 35 million, speakers underscored the need to scale up investment to bridge the education gap.
I urge those in authority, I urge development partners so that we can make a great change, especially those physically challenged can stop begging. They can develop to the extent that they can even be employers of labor.
We must move towards a future where accessibility is by design, moving away from retrofitting tools towards building universal platforms that work for everyone from day one. When we develop assistive devices or technology in general, this has to be done with people living with disability in mind at the design stage.
In order to deepen inclusivity in education, politics, and in other endeavors, stakeholders at this dialogue have resolved to lead the campaign for persons with disabilities in their various domains so that they can be seen, heard, and included.
In part two, after the break, Lagos State government reintroduces the monthly environmental sanitation exercise as Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Ebon Adegoruwa, kicks against what he calls forceful restriction of movement. That in a moment. Join us again. Join us. You're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Opposition political parties meet in Ibadan, resolved to work towards fielding one presidential candidate to wrestle powers from the ruling All Progressives Congress. Former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tugga, formally declares intention to run for governor in Bauchi, outlined his key priorities for the state. Lagos State government reintroduces the monthly environmental sanitation exercise as Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Ebon Adegoruwa, kicks against what he calls forceful restriction of movement. And at least 7 people have been killed in overnight Russian strikes across Ukraine. Governor of Benue State, Mr. Sam Ode, is calling on political parties to reduce the cost of nomination forms for female aspirants, noting that political parties that prioritize women in politics will win future elections. Mr. Ode stated this during the launch of the Urban Women in Politics in Makadi, the Benue State capital. He called for an end to the mistreatment of women in governance.
Women in politics converge on Makurdi, the Benue State capital, to once again push for the right of women participation in politics and governance. The Deputy Governor of Benue State, Mr. Sam Ode, is representing Governor Hyacinth Alia at the meeting with the Assembly of Women who are lamenting poor representation in the nation's politics.
But in the world of politics, we are much more than a backbone. We are the heartbeat. Take from recent election, Circle shows that women constitute approximately 47.5% of the over 93 million registered voters in Nigeria. In many polling units across Benue, it is the women who stand in the sun the longest, who mobilize their household, and who ensures the ballots are cast.
The women, including the Secretary to the Benue State government, call for multiple level support as the UN Women push for passage of the bill on special seats for women.
The UN Women, in conjunction with the League of Women Voters, sent a strong advocacy bill for the reservation of seats for women in Nigeria. I call on all women and our men here to support the bill for special seats for women to be created. The seats that will be specially reserved for women.
This initiative should not just end in Benue. We should deploy it in North Central, all the states in North Central, and Nigeria at large.
The Deputy Governor, while delivering the address of Governor Alia, says it's time to end marginalization against women, stating his belief that political parties that support women will win future elections.
For too long, we have treated women's participation in governance as a favor and not a right. We have reserved the back seats for those who build the very homes that we live and enjoy, who are in the markets and communities that sustain the food basket of the nation. That era must end, and it ends today.
Political parties set to begin the sale of nomination forms ahead of the 2027 general elections, and the All Progressives Congress is putting its house in order to tap into the 47.5% female registered voters for the elections.
To other stories now. The streets of Lagos were deserted this morning as residents observed the return of the monthly environmental sanitation exercise. The initiative, aimed at restoring the state's hygiene, saw the governor's wife, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, and the Commissioner for Environment, Tokunbo Wahab, alongside other officials, leading the cleanup exercise.
It's the early hours of Saturday, and most roads in Lagos appear deserted. Public transportation is unavailable for commuters owing to the resumption of the monthly environmental sanitation exercise. This comes almost 10 years after cancellation due to a court judgment on restriction of movement. In Agege area of Lagos mainland, some residents, including road sweepers, are out on the streets cleaning their environment and the drainage. They commend the government for the return of the sanitation exercise.
Thank God that they reverse the environmental back. If government doesn't enforce people, they will not do it. Imagine some people will pack dirt in their major houses, also they put inside the quarters.
This one will instill discipline, and it will also instill sanitation in our environment.
It's very, very important that we have our environment well cleaned up, because these days, you say it's raining season especially. Most of the gutters, the drainages are all fed up, and it's good to see that most of them are being cleared.
The state head of service and other senior government officials join residents in Agege for the cleanup exercise. And for those who turn deaf ears to the calls for sanitation exercise, environmental health officers issue occupants of their buildings abatement of nuisance notice. Agege is relatively clean with beautiful paintings along the road. Even at that, the government urges citizens to take care of their environment, prevent disease outbreak, and pay their waste bill.
Let us clean our environment so that we don't fall sick, we don't bring infection into the society. They say there's Lassa fever here, this fever there, that fever. It's all because the environment is not clean.
Today's World Malaria Day, and for us we need to keep our environment clean so we can take away from all sort of diseases, all sorts of bacteria and all sorts of things that we don't want. The residents also need to pay their lawma fees, and that's what will also make lawma come out and do the necessary things they need to do. Because it's a business, they need to buy tires, they need to buy diesel, they need to take care of their vehicles. Some of them have got, their vehicles on compactors on credit.
In Surulere area, some are out tidying up their environment. Active participation is also visible in Ikoyi Obalende area of Lagos Island. Leading the exercise is the wife of the governor of Lagos State, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, alongside the State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, school students and environment marshals to ensure seamless sanitation exercise.
As we are doing this, it's continue to make our environment clean.
From here, we should take it on all the time.
The authorities insist that the court judgment does not stop Lagos from observing the exercise, and everyone must get involved.
A gradual process, so people are aware of the sanitation that we do on a monthly basis, the last Saturday of every month, and it's from 6:30 to 8:30. People adhere to the instructions, and if you have noticed, we had to bring the students out. So we had students, leadership by example, catch them young.
There are two matters that went to court. The one by Mr. Okafo and the one by Oluwade Borowa. Now, at the High Court, Ebu won the matter at the High Court, and we went on appeal. But before the appeal was determined, the one for Mr. Okafo went to the Court of Appeal. In a later judgment that was delivered by the same Court of Appeal, Lagos jurisdiction, in the case of Oluwade Borowa and Lagos State, because allowed us that we do have the powers to even restrict, and that's a latter judgment from the Court of Appeal. But we chose not to go that route. We chose to build community ownership. The Lagosians had been waiting for this, and we thank them. Most importantly, let us build on this. So by the next round, end of May, we should have maybe 99%.
The Lagos State government believes that the reintroduction of the monthly sanitation exercise will restore a culture of environmental responsibility and improve hygiene across the metropolis.
Meanwhile, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Ebun Oluwadegboruwa, has condemned the Lagos State government's directive restricting the movement for monthly sanitation, labeling it illegal and unconstitutional. In a strongly worded statement, the senior lawyer criticized the deployment of law enforcement, LASMA, and unofficial actors to intimidate residents during today's exercise. He argued that the forceful confinement of residents to their homes is a direct violation of their fundamental right to freedom of movement. He adds that a megacity like Lagos should not rely on coercive measures or shutting down the economy for 2 hours to maintain hygiene, and urged the state government to explore more progressive policy directions and efficient waste management systems. It has been an intense first 3 months of this year for Nigerians as they had to cope with insecurity in many parts of the country. From bombings to kidnappings and other incidents, there's a growing perception that the security situation in the country is even getting worse. In this report, our correspondent Larry Lasisi takes a look at the security situation in the country.
Distinguished witnesses, beginning with Nina Shea.
2025 drew global attention to Nigeria's worsening insecurity. The year ended dramatically with the U.S. airstrikes on terrorist camps in Sokoto State. As 2026 dawned, President Bola Tinubu pledged deeper intelligence gathering, stronger international and regional collaboration, and a push for decentralized policing. But 3 months in, many Nigerians say insecurity is still growing. From insurgency and renewed suicide bombings to banditry, abductions, and communal clashes, security agencies remain stretched across multiple states. In Kwara State, several kidnappings have targeted church worshippers. This man tells us his wife is still in captivity.
About 15 communities has been deserted under Urago district. Everybody has left. In fact, what we really want now is to just help us secure the release of the 8 people that were abducted. The amount that the kidnappers are demanding is outrageous. It's beyond the power of the church and even the community.
In the North Central, clashes in Benue and Plateau State have left many displaced.
Our major problem is not to come and stay at the town. My people are predominantly farmers. Find a solution for them. Let them go back to their ancestral home and keep on with their farming activities.
Those things that we need from government, we are not getting them. They should just defend us. They should defend us to go to farm.
According to the 2026 Global Terrorism Index, Nigeria now ranks 4th worldwide, a jump from 6th place last year. Data from the 2026 Nigeria Security Report by Beacon Security and Intelligence Limited gives more details. According to the report, in the first quarter of 2026, 1,468 security incidents were recorded, resulting in 2,360 fatalities and 1,175 adoptions. Compared to the first quarter in 2025, there was a 38.47% decrease in incidents, a 28.52% decline in fatalities, and a 59.30% decline in abductions. However, compared to the fourth quarter of 2025, incidents increased by 26.66%, fatalities increased by 51.57%, while the number of abducted persons declined by 30.96%.
Clearly, the intensity in security force operations had led to a reduction. But what happened was that within Q1 2026, there were a couple of high-intensity incidents that gave the impression as if there was a deterioration in security occurrences. One of them is the abduction in Ngoshi in Borno State, where more than 400 people or thereabout were abducted, while in the killing of several generals, in their forward operating bases also gave that impression.
We are continuing to put pressure on them. Record number of these heads of these terrorists and criminals and their commanders being taken out by the joint effort of our armed forces and our security agencies. This is a clear indication that there's a greater level of coordination between the intelligence services, between the security agencies, to ensure that this scourge is being defeated once and for all.
The minister outlines steps being taken to address the situation.
A few days ago, the Nigerian government was able to get conviction of over 300 of these terrorists. We have been commended even by the United States government and other international partners, who, by the way, we are working collaboratively with, especially the United States government, the British government, the other members of the European Union and our neighbors here.
For the security expert, there is a need to implement a whole government and society approach.
Limit the ability of these groups, the criminal groups, to access funding. their association with mining sites, they kidnap for ransom, they collect the ransom, they use it for their operation, and several other things through which they generate funding. Let's block that. Number 2, block their access to weapons and ammunition. Number 3 is their ability to recruit new members, and this is rooted in several components of our PCVE program, which is Prevention and Countering Violent Extremism. And then lastly, we must stop their mobility.
Resuming plenary this week, senators urged the defense leadership to carry out a full audit of military formations to uncover and fix gaps in equipment and strategy. Lanre Lassisi, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise commends federal government's 30% airline debt discount, calling it timely relief amid rising costs. That's in a moment. Back. Members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, Nasarawa State University branch, have threatened to embark on an industrial action. The group told journalists at a news conference in Kefi that they will take all lawful means to protect the interest and welfare of members and asked the state government to immediately address their demands. According to the lecturers, the demands include immediate payment of 40% salary increment, implementation of allowances, amongst other issues.
This briefing is aimed at drawing urgent attention to the continued neglect of critical issues affecting our members and the university system by the Nasarawa State government. Despite several engagements and appeals, these issues remain unresolved, thereby threatening industrial harmony within the university. We hereby call on Nasarawa State government to urgently address the following. 1, immediate implementation of 40% salary increment, recently agreed upon between the federal government of Nigeria and Academic Staff Union of University. Payment of arrears of unacademic allowance to settle long-standing entitlement owed to academic staff. Payment of arrears of 70,000 minimum wage. Number 7, payment of arrears of accruing from 35,000 naira wage award. Number 8, domestication of contributory pension scheme alongside immediate remittance of government counterpart contribution to members' pension scheme. Unless immediate steps are taken by the Nasarawa State government to defray all outstanding arrears and address our demands, industrial harmony cannot be guaranteed.
While the Nasarawa University lecturers threaten to down tools, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, has suspended its planned indefinite nationwide strike following fresh commitments from the federal government to address crucial welfare concerns. In a communique issued after a virtual emergency National Executive Council meeting today, the association revealed that the decision followed high-level interventions involving the Vice President and various ministers. The breakthrough centers on the restoration of the professional allowance table and the pledged payment of outstanding promotion and salary arrears. NARD noted that the previous suspension of the reviewed allowance structure has been reversed, with implementation now expected to reflect in April salaries. Despite the suspension, the association is demanding the immediate disbursement of residency training fund and prompt action on all outstanding professional allowances. Farmers across the 6 local government areas of Edo North have received fresh assurances from the state government as the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security continues its Back to Farm expedition. The outreach, led by the Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Security, aims to boost food production and address the challenges faced by farmers.
The expedition in Edo North Senatorial District kicks off in Owan West and moves through Owan East to Akuka Edo local government area. Officials from the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security engage farmers on modern farming practices and the need to improve agricultural output, with emphasis on proper registration to access government support.
Make una give us una information, name, phone number, location of your farm, the size of your farm. Maybe your NIN will join us. Because without your NIN, we will not identify whether you be the actual person.
The team continues to Esako Central Local Government area, where farmers turn out in large numbers to interact with government officials. In Esako East, the council chairman joins the engagement and assures farmers of efforts to improve security and ensure access to farm inputs.
When you see something, you say something. And if you hear something in your village, you say something. If you discover a few days ago, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I spend most of my days in the bush, spending 8 hours, 9 hours, trying to make sure that the farm lands are conducive for you to farm. We will not allow strangers to take over your farm.
The tour ends in Auchi, Esako West Local Government area, where women farmers call for greater support, particularly in the area of security.
Let them tell our local security to help us enter bushes. We give them date and time that we want to enter these bushes. They help us scare those people away so that we can enter the bush in peace.
The Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Security, Jerry Wangwe, reiterated the plans of the present administration to address the challenges, noting that the reintroduction of cluster farming remains a top priority.
He has introduced cluster farmers, where the farmers come together to farm in the cluster way. That way, a lot of farmers are there, and they will create a base for security to be there to secure those farmers while they are farming together. We want to encourage cluster farming. It was there before. Over the years, it was stopped. We are trying to introduce it back again. We also want to let them know that equipment has been purchased for these farmers to make things faster and easier for them. People ask, how do we access this equipment? This equipment has been deployed across the 3 senatorial districts. You don't need to come to Benin.
The Edo State government maintains that farmers will receive the necessary support for a more productive farming season as it works to build a resilient agricultural sector.
The news now. Amatem Soft Gel, a highly effective fixed-dose anti-malaria medication manufactured by LB Pharma Nigeria Limited, is taking the important message of malaria prevention to the young ones with a visit to Ilupeju Secondary School in Lagos. According to the company, the visit is part of activities to mark the 2026 World Malaria Day, as the young adults participated in a dance competition, enlightenment program on malaria prevention, as well as a football match.
Amatem Soft Gel is out once again to spread the important message of malaria prevention, with a stop at Ilupeju Secondary School with staff and students of the school on hand to welcome the company. The event is part of LB Pharma's corporate social responsibility to mark the day with the theme, Driven to End Malaria. Now we can, now we must.
We must end malaria now. Prevention is number one. Through education, through community engagement, what you take to your parents at home, what you discuss, how you can be able to keep the environment tidy and healthy, those are the education. So the main point of us coming here for LB Pharma is for the treatment. And I would like to present to you Amatem Soft Gel. So if I say Amatem Soft Gel, you say only the best. Only the best matters. Amatem Soft Gel.
To pass the essential message to the teenagers present, they were made to participate and dance with the brand's ambassadors, in addition to sharing knowledge on malaria prevention and a football game. The high point of the event was the handing over of computer to school by LB Pharma.
Presenting to the Ilupeju Senior Secondary School and Ilupeju Junior Secondary School.
This campaign, embarked upon by Amatem Soft Gel, is targeted at reducing infections and deaths related to malaria in Nigeria, and the company believes the best way to achieve that is by reaching the younger generation.
We have a long way of looking at the brand becoming a
a face when it comes to the fight of malaria, which is becoming an endemic in West Africa and Nigeria in particular. So it's something we're actually working towards, and we are looking for it in the next 10, 20 years. To be in the mind of everybody. When it comes to malaria, you think about Matem subject.
This is not going to be a one-time, one-off thing. It's something that's, a continuum, and we're going to keep doing it. Continue creating awareness, even for the elderly people, older people. They need to know all the time. And, with Amatem soft gel, once you get a good prescription, this is like the best medication on the market.
According to the World Health Organization, the 2025 World Malaria Report puts Nigeria at the heart of global malaria burden, accounting for approximately 24.3% of cases and 30.3% of deaths in 2024. However, Amatem Softgel says it is determined to reduce infection cases in Nigeria through continuous enlightenment, as well as make sure the highly effective fixed-dose anti-malaria medication is available in all nooks and crannies of the country.
The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has commended Waltersmith Petroman Oil Limited for its remarkable strides in refining capacity and contribution to Nigeria's energy security. The commendation came during an official facility visit to Waltersmith Phase 2 Refinery project in Imo State by the leadership of the agency, led by the Chief Executive Officer, Saidu Mohammed. Our correspondent, Itokwe Kutei, has this report.
The delegation, led by the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NNDPRA, Saidu Mohammed, to Waltersmith Refinery in Ibigwe community in Imo State, begins with a short briefing session before proceeding to inspecting the facility. The visit is highly anticipated as Waltersmith expands from its initial 5,000 barrels per day modular refinery commissioned in 2021 to a growing integrated energy hub. The inspection focuses on Phase 2 of the project, an expansion designed to significantly cut Nigerians' reliance on imported petroleum products. Speaking during the tour, the NNDPRA CEO Saidu Mohammed describes Waltersmith's growth from a groundbreaking idea over a decade ago to a dual refinery operation as remarkable. He adds that the project also demonstrates compliance with the Petroleum Industry Act with strict adherence to global safety measurements and operational standards.
Just barely 10, 11 years ago, we were talking about groundbreaking ceremony. And today here we are standing within the vicinity of 2 live refineries, combined capacity of 10,000 barrels per day. And in fact, that is very, very remarkable. And indeed, it is something that we should be able to emulate. And that is what we have always been advocating. For the midstream sector to grow, Nigerians have to take interest and not only take interest, but take charge of it.
For the chairman of Waltersmith, Abdulrazak Issa, the second phase serves as the anchor for a broader industrial vision, the Waltersmith Industrial and Innovation Park, a proposed free trade zone expected to host petrochemical plants, research centers, and manufacturing hubs powered by on-site gas-to-power infrastructure.
So for us, it's the beginning. This is just the beginning. We have proven that the first module can work. We have now installed the second module. Our aspiration is to get to 40,000 barrels ultimately, producing all the slates of products from PMS to diesel to LPG and so on. That's where we want to get to. But we have confidence that we ultimately will get there. And on the upstream side, we have grown our portfolio from one marginal field to almost interest in about 19 oil mining leases, which is significant. That strategy is to help us consolidate on the source, the feedstock itself first.
According to the representative of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, Naboth Onyeso, with a workforce made of entirely Nigerian and over 1 billion liters of refined products already supplied to the domestic market, the refinery underscores the growing impact of local content in the oil and gas sector.
That Waltersmith is able to start the first phase of its refining plant and is able to produce and supply over 1 billion liters. That gives you a picture of how much value has been retained in country in terms of capital in terms of job creation that would have left this country if these facility had not been built to produce. Secondly, with the size and scale of operation involved here, you can put in context the number of personnel. From the briefing, you can see that everybody that will have here are all Nigerians. In other words, it has created significant jobs, not only for the locals, for other Nigerians around the country, and that's what ACDMB is all after.
Stakeholders in the oil sector said the water spit expansion signals Nigeria's readiness to become not just self-sufficient, but a major energy hub for West Africa and beyond. Ejitopakute, Channels Television News.
Baobab Microfinance Bank, one of the leading microfinance banks in the country, in a strategic partnership with Compassionate Care Recovery Initiative, has opened the women's wing of its Drug Abuse Recovery Center. The center, named Deborah's Haven and located in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, is designed to accommodate women recovering from substance abuse. The initiative addresses the urgent need to support women affected by substance dependency, many of whom face stigma and limited access to structured recovery systems, by providing a safe space for healing, empowerment, and reintegration into society.
Management and staff of Baobab Microfinance Bank joined members of the Compassionate Care Recovery Initiative to unveil the women's wing of the center in Abeokuta. According to the promoters, Deborah's Haven is a rehabilitation center and refuge for women recovering from drug and substance abuse, and was established to fill a critical gap in gender-specific rehabilitation services. The facility is equipped with skill acquisition and recreational amenities to facilitate the recovery process for victims, especially women, and prepare them for a new beginning.
When they come here, they wake up, the first thing we inculcate in them is discipline. When people take substances, they lose discipline, sense of they don't have time for anything. But here they wake up at 6. They do their personal prayer, then they do collective prayer, then they do cleaning of the environment. You must set your bed, you must clean your environment, and then they eat and then go to class.
Eneni Oduwole, a director at Baobab Microfinance Bank, describes the facility as a sanctuary for the revival of hope, where shattered dreams are restored and achieved.
At Baobab Microfinance Bank, Nigeria, and indeed across the entire Baobab Group, we believe that no individual should be defined by their lowest moments, by their unfortunate situations. Everyone deserves a second chance. This belief is not merely philosophical on our standpoint. It is central to how we operate, even within. It is also integral to how we invest our resources and how we engage with society.
While identifying the erosion of family values, unemployment and peer pressure as some of the causative factors of substance abuse, dignitaries at the event call for increased public enlightenment and greater support for victims.
For us, it's like, what can we contribute towards trying to solve or eradicate or minimize this problem? And that's why we found CCRI they're doing is very impressive. And we just feel that let us do a small bit to support them, and hoping that more and bigger corporate entities would realize what is going on and would also join the bandwagon.
You know, this is a drop in the ocean. We will keep on doing our part, but I believe it will be great if the business community at large look into this issue with much more interest. I believe it is really a battle that can be won, and it's for all of us to actually join hands together and fight this fight as it should be.
The center is expected to begin admitting beneficiaries immediately, with programs tailored to restore dignity and self-reliance among women recovering from substance abuse.
The Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, CPPE, has lauded the federal government's approval of a 30% discount on outstanding debts owed by Nigerian airlines. The group described the move as a timely relief for operators facing rising and unsustainable costs, as the measure would ease financial pressure on airlines in the short term. However, the CPPE warns that the debt relief does not address deeper structural challenges in the aviation sector, especially the high cost of operations, driven by multiple taxes, fees, and levies imposed by agencies such as the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, and Nigerian Airspace Management Agency. It notes that the situation has contributed to a high rate of airline failures in the country. In the world of sports, Niger State has threatened to boycott this year's National Sports Festival, scheduled to hold in Enugu in November, following the reported exclusion of multiple sporting events from the competition. The chairman of the Niger State Sports Commission, Mr. Abdullahi Masu, expressed strong dissatisfaction with the decision by the National Sports Commission to reduce the number of events from 40 to 15. He appealed to the leadership to act swiftly in addressing the concerns raised, emphasizing that limiting participation to only 15 sports is inadequate for a national event of such significance. In the English FA, Nico Gonzalez's stunning strike has fired Manchester City into the final as they produced a late fight back to defeat Southampton 2-1 at the Wembley Stadium. Southampton appeared heading towards a first final since 2003 when Finn Hazard's brilliant finish put the championship side in front 11 minutes from time. However, Manchester City avoided the same fate that Arsenal suffered in the quarterfinals to remain on course for a domestic treble. Jeremy Doku's deflected effort quickly leveled before Gonzalez rifled in from long range 3 minutes from time. In the English Premier League, Arsenal have regained their place at the top of the table as Iberiche's first half strike was enough for the Gunners to defeat Newcastle United in a hard-fought match at the Emirates Stadium. Alexander Isak scored at Anfield for the first time since joining Liverpool as they strengthened their grip on a Champions League spot with victory over Crystal Palace. Ryan Segnon scored the only goal as Fulham boosted their hopes of finishing in the European places by beating Aston Villa at Craven Cottage. Callum Wilson scored the dramatic stoppage time winner as West Ham United boosted their survival hopes with victory against Everton. João Polina's late strike earned Tottenham Hotspur their first win since December 2025, but failed to ease their relegation fears. In tennis,
the number 2 seed.
International scene, at least 7 people were killed in Russian strikes across Ukraine overnight, including 5 in the central city of Dnipro, where officials said an apartment building was hit. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the latest attack lasted practically all night, while rescue workers were still searching for survivors under the rubble this morning. British jets were scrambled from Romania during the heavy attack when Russian drones were detected near the border, though the UK Ministry of Defense rejected the report it had shot some down. Meanwhile, Ukraine carried out some of its longest distance drone strikes deep inside Russian territory. US President Donald Trump has cancelled the planned trip of envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to Pakistan for talks aimed at ending the war with Iran. On Friday, the White House had previously announced that the pair would travel to Islamabad today. However, President Trump abruptly called up the mission, stating that the United States have all the cards and Iran have none, and he's just a phone call away. In response, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi remarked that he is yet to see if the United States is truly serious about diplomacy. These comments follow his departure from Pakistan, where he presented Iran's position on the framework to permanently end the Middle East conflict. And the main news again. Opposition political parties met in Ibadan, Oyo State, resolved to work to field a presidential candidate to wrestle powers from the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Akinlami. On behalf of the team, good night.